So in the saucepan we have 300 ml of cream, just regular thickened cream, and I'm going to add 300 ml of milk. Okay. And we're also going to add some vanilla bean paste. It's a great substitute for actual vanilla beans. So the recipe calls for 1 teaspoon and it's quite sticky, so I usually just pour it straight in. So 1 teaspoon is about 1 vanilla pod. And what we're going to do is bring this to the boil. Bring this to the boil and then turn it straight off. I'm going to get a whisk to whisk it up to make sure the milk and the cream are all combined. Excuse the noise. And that vanilla bean paste is mixed in. A jar of vanilla bean paste is about $10, but there's 65 grams, so there's enough, it lasts you ages. Right. So we're just going to let that come to the boil. Should take a little while because the milk and the cream are cold. So I'll bring it to the boil and then let it sit to cool, and then we'll start on the next step. Now for the second part of the recipe. So that we've got the milk mixture cooling, so now what we're going to do is make the custard part. So we've got 6 egg yolks separated, 175 grams of sugar, and we're going to add some more vanilla extract as well, and we're going to beat it all together. Now this recipe only uses the egg yolks, so what you can do is actually freeze the egg whites and use them for another recipe like a friand or pavlova or meringue kind of recipe. So I'm just going to get the sugar stuck in a measurer. So if you don't have scales, 175 grams of sugar is just over 3/4 of a cup. Teaspoon of the vanilla bean paste. Okay. Right, so now we're going to beat it until it's pale, so this is going to be a bit noisy. So just an electric mixer. If you've got a stand mixer, that'll be even easier. And the chemical reaction that goes on between the sugar and the egg yolks, and that kind of cooks the egg yolk. Alright, so I'm just going to continue mixing this, and I'll come back when it's ready. You can tell from the lighting, but the mixture's quite pale now, and you can see it's really, really thick. So what we're going to do is add the milk mixture and then return it to the saucepan so we can make a custard. Just got to be really careful. So the milk's been infusing for about 10 minutes. So got a bit of a skin on top, so I'll just whisk it. So here we are. Just get that. Now we're going to need a bigger saucepan, because as you can see this one's almost full, and then we've got this mixture. So I'll just pour it in. Another saucepan. So before we add it, we'll just give it a bit of a stir. So you can see it's quite thick. Now, our egg yolk mixture was made from homegrown chook eggs, and they're actually quite pale to begin with. So if you're using shop bought eggs, they may be slightly yellow, and I just noticed that there's still all of this vanilla bean mix at the bottom of this saucepan here, so we'll just soak some of that up. As you can hear outside, it's raining like crazy. Both hands free, I transferred the mixture into the larger saucepan and just gave it a bit of a mix to make sure that it was all well done. So now we've got it on medium heat, which hopefully is medium heat with my stove. And I'm going to cook it for about 5 minutes. And this is how you make a custard. So you sort of got to keep it stirring because you don't want it to stick to the bottom of the pan and burn. But you don't want to keep it stirring too much because it loses the heat, so you just sort of stir it slowly. So this is really a really basic custard, so you could also use it for other custard dishes. You don't have to turn it into an ice cream, but it is really nice as an ice cream. So it's a basic vanilla ice cream. With the initial milk at the start, the milk and cream mixture, again you can use vanilla bean pods if you've got those. And then the egg yolk and sugar mix, so just vanilla essence. It adds sort of a different dimension of flavour, but all I had was the vanilla bean paste. So, so it's really good. So I'm going to come back when this is at the custard stage. So they call it coats the back of the spoon. So at the moment, this doesn't quite coat the back of the spoon. It's still a bit runny. But, well, it's quite thick, but yeah, I'll show you when it's done. It looks like we're just about there now. I think it's been about 7 or 8 minutes. With this being an electric stove, it takes a little while to heat up and get the heat distribution happening, and also the weather's kind of cold, so the saucepan is cold, but we've got it there. So we can see that it's a little bit thicker and it's sticking on the back of the spoon now. So what we're going to do is remove it from the heat and now just let it sit and cool down, and then refrigerate it for maybe half an hour or so, and then we'll whack it in the ice cream mixer. And now we've left the custard to cool maybe about an hour in the fridge. You can see it's still quite, it's actually thickened since letting it cool. If you look at the back of the spoon, it really sticks on there. So now we're going to put it in the ice cream tin. So this is the cool drum, and it's been in the freezer overnight. Goes in this case. So we're going to pour the yogurt, the custard mixture in there, and then we're going to churn it so it can turn into ice cream. Just pour it in. We've got to go quickly or it will freeze around the edges because it's quite cool. So we've got a paddle that fits in, and then it over, it doesn't quite reach. A machine fits in the top. Alright, so the machine's clicked in. Let's turn it on. And then you can put it on for, I put it on for 20 minutes. So you can see here, I'm going to turn it. So what this means is that as it chills, the ice crystals are mixed up and it doesn't all sit in the one spot. Because if we were just to stick the custard in the freezer by itself, all these ice crystals would form and it wouldn't go very well. So we're just going to let it freeze like this. So as I say, it'll take about 20 minutes, and we'll see how it's almost at the 20-minute mark. And as you can see, it's still quite sloppy, I guess. And it's probably got a lot to do with the weather because it's been raining, it's been quite humid. So the ice cream's not setting as much, so you can hear it's coming down. It's going to stop. So what we'll need to do is put it on for probably another 20 minutes, but I want to show you what it looks like. Not set. Let's lift off the, you can see the paddle. Whoops, uh-oh. Alright, so we can see that's not ice cream. Still quite runny. So we'll just put it on for another 20 minutes, which is fine. And then hopefully it'll be good. And at least set enough to put in the freezer. Alright, so we'll just put it on one more time. Okay, so now we're up to the last 30 seconds of the second run. As you can see, it's a lot thicker than it was before, but it is still fairly sloppy. So what we're going to do is, once this round is finished, and it'll start beeping in a second, we're going to transfer it into this container here. and then we're going to put it into the freezer and let it just continue to chill until we're ready to serve, and then we'll have our vanilla ice cream. So it's just doing the countdown now. Alright, so that's done, so we'll just switch it off at the wall. Alright, so I'll just take the lid off. And churn. As you can see there, it's a lot thicker than it was before, so I'll just put that over there. This is just a little bit tricky to do whoops, with one hand. So it's still not quite ready to serve, because if we served it, it would be quite sloppy. So now, it's the fun part of trying to transfer it from the churn into the tub with one hand. Alright, so I'm just going to pour it. See, that's not quite ice cream yet, because ice cream shouldn't be sloppy like that. So the lighting's just a little bit poor. Sorry about that. So I'll just finish getting this out. I need both hands, so I'll be back in a sec. So as you can see, we've just loaded the vanilla ice cream into the tub that we're going to freeze it in. Just level it off the top. I'll just show you this bit here. It came from the bottom of the churn. It's a lot thicker. So that's sort of the more like a ice creamy consistency. So we'll just put the lid on this and we'll pop it in the freezer, and then we'll serve in a couple of hours. So that's how you make vanilla ice cream.